Let us begin with prayers. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवति उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Creation, Chapter 3. Krishna is the source of all incarnations. Text 20. Avatare Shodashame Pashyan Brahmadruho Nrupan Trisapta Krutva Kupito Nikshatram Akaron Mahim. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charanarvinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada. Translation. Srila Sutta Goswami continued. In the 16th incarnation of the Godhead, the Lord as Bhrugupati annihilated the administrative class or Kshatriyas 21 times, being angry with them because of their rebellion against the brahmanas or the intelligent class. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The Kshatriyas or the administrative class of men are expected to rule the planet by the direction of the intelligent class of men, who give direction to the rulers in terms of the standard Shastras, or the books of revealed knowledge. The rulers carry on the administration according to that direction. Whenever there is disobedience on the part of the Kshatriyas or the administrative class, against the order of the learned and intelligent Brahmanas, the administrators are removed by force from the posts. An arrangement is made for better administration. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purport. So we are reading about Lord Parashurama's incarnation, and coincidentally, today is the auspicious day of Akshaya Tritiya, which is also the appearance day of Lord Parashurama. Today is Parashurama Jayanti. So let us try to understand more about Lord Parashurama. Avatare Shodashame. In this list, which is presented in this chapter, it is the 16th avatara, the 16th incarnation. Pashyan Brahmadruho Nrupan. Brahmadruha. Druha means disobedience. Brahmadruha means those disobedient to the orders of the Brahmanas. Nrupa means the kingly order. Pashyan means seeing. The Lord saw that the Kshatriyas are actually not listening to the orders of the Brahmanas. They had become puffed up. They had become proud. Normally, the Kshatriyas are supposed to listen to the instructions given by the Brahmanas, because the Brahmanas engage themselves in Vedic study, and they are supposed to be the intelligent class in the human society. So the Kshatriyas must take instructions from the Brahmanas, and then they have to rule the kingdom. There has to be a balance between the Brahmatva and Kshatriyatva. Right? So when Kshatriya order overpowers the Brahmanas, Then the philosophy, the jungle Raj will come into picture. The philosophy of might is right becomes the order of the day. So therefore, the Kshatriyas must not become proud. They must be obedient to the Brahmanas, take instructions from the Vedic scriptures, and they have to rule the kingdom. That is the normal order in the Varnashrama system. But the Lord saw that in the Treta Yuga, before the appearance of Lord Ramachandra, there were unscrupulous Kshatriyas. They were only Kshatriyas for namesake. They only wanted power and position, but they were actually misusing their position and power, and they had become disobedient to the Brahmanas. So when the Lord saw this, what did the Lord do? The Lord accepted an avatara, Parashurama. Parashu means the axe. The Lord, even though he appeared as a Brahmana in the Brahmana family, he took up the role of a Kshatriya, and he used axe as his weapon. And using his axe, Trisapta Kritva Kupitaha, he became extremely angry. Kupitaha means to be angry. And what did he do? Three Saptaha. Three means number three. Saptaha means 7. 3 into 7, 21. So 21 times, being angry, 21 times Lord Parashurama, Nikshatram Akaron Mahim. Mahim means this earthly planet. He rid the earth of Kshatriyas 21 times. He rid the earth. He freed the earth from the unscrupulous Kshatriyas 21 times. He traveled all over the world 21 times and he killed all the unruly Kshatriyas. This is the specific purpose for which the Lord appeared as Lord Parashurama. Okay? So, Prabhupada explains in the purport that whenever there is disobedience on the part of the Kshatriyas or the administrative class against the order of the learned and intelligent Brahmanas, the administrators are removed by force from the posts and arrangement is made for better administration. This entire material world exists for the purpose of training the conditioned souls on how to develop Krishna consciousness and go back to the spiritual world. And the Kshatriyas are supposed to take care of this particular aspect. The main purpose of any government should be how to make people interested in Krishna consciousness. That should be the main purpose of any king or any government. And if the administrators are not conscious of this, if they themselves become sinful and they themselves misuse their power and position, time and again we see this described in the Bhagavatam that such bad administrators, corrupt Kshatriyas, are removed from their posts. Previously, when we heard about the Pruthu Charitra, in the same chapter, a few verses ago, we had discussed about the incarnation of Maharaj Pruthu, who is known as Adi Raja. Now, he also appeared in a very similar situation when there was a bad governance by King Vena. And after his being cursed and killed by the Brahmanas, there was anarchy in the entire earthly planet. Therefore, the Brahmanas invoked the Lord, and the Lord appeared as Maharaj Pruthu in order to do a proper administration of the entire earthly planet. A very similar thing happened during the appearance of Parashurama. The description about the activities of Parashurama, his appearance, all of these is there in the 9th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So let us read certain portions of the 9th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam and let us try to understand more about Lord Parashurama. Yes. So this is, I'm reading from the 9th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 15, which is entitled Parashurama, the Lord's warrior incarnation. See, the Lord can appear in any in any situation, as he can appear as a cowherd boy, he can appear as a kshatriya, he can appear as a warrior, even though apparently born in a brahmana family. Nothing is impossible for the Lord. So Parashurama is called the warrior incarnation of the Lord. Parashurama is also known as Bhrugupati because he appeared in the Bhargava Vamsha. He is the king of the, just like Krishna is called Yadupati, he appeared in the Yadava Vamsha. Ramachandra is called Raghupati because he appeared in the Raghu dynasty. In the same way, Parashurama is called Bhrugupati because he appeared in the Bhargava dynasty of Brahmanas. Parashurama is also known as Jamadagni because he appeared as the son of the great sage Jamadagni. Jamadagni was his father, therefore he is called Jamadagni. So let us read from this chapter a few verses from the very beginning. We will read. This is Shukadev Goswami is giving a description of various kings and various personalities. It is in between, so we will just read. Shukadev Goswami continued, O King Parikshit, from the womb of Urvashi, 6 sons were generated by Pururava. Their names were Ayu, Shrutayu, Satyayu, Raya, Vijaya, and Jaya. The son of Shrutyayu was Vasuman, the son of Satyayu was Shrutanjaya, the son of Raya, Eka, the son of Jaya, Amita, and the son of Vijaya, Bhima. The son of Bhima was Kanchana, the son of Kanchana was Hotraka, and the son of Hotraka was Jahnu, who drank all the water of the Ganges in one sip. So, this is a description of a lineage of kings. So, here, one interesting thing is, why is Shukadev Goswami describing, taking the trouble of giving the names of all these different kings? Because Bhagavatam deals only with the description of the Supreme Lord and his activities. And all these personalities were predecessors in the Vamsha where Lord Parashurama appeared. Therefore, their reference is given. It is not that, oh, randomly some names are given. No, because they are connected with the Supreme Lord, their names are given here. And here, Jahnu Rushi, he was the son of Hotraka, and he once actually drank up the entire Ganga river and he had stored it in his stomach. And then, when Maharaj Bhagiratha requested, he released the Ganga water from his body. And since Ganga took birth from the body of this Jahnu Rishi, she got the name Jahnavi. Jahnavi is one of the names of Ganga. Text 4. The son of Jahnu was Puru, the son of Puru was Balaka, the son of Balaka was Ajaka, and the son of Ajaka was Kusha. Kusha had 4 sons named Kushambu, Tanaya, Vasu, and Kushanabha. The son of Kushambu was Gadhi. King Gadhi had a daughter named Satyavati, whom a Brahmana sage named Richika requested from the king to be his wife. King Gadhi, however, regarded Ruchika as an unfit husband for his daughter, and therefore he told the Brahmana, My dear sir, I belong to the dynasty of Kusha. Because we are aristocratic Kshatriyas, you have to give some dowry for my daughter. Therefore, bring at least 1,000 horses, each as brilliant as moonshine, and each having one black ear, whether right or left. A very interesting thing here. Nowadays we see Varadakshina. Varadakshina means dowry which is given by the bride's parents to the bridegroom at the time of marriage. But here we are seeing Vadhu Dakshina. That means this king Gadhi, he had a daughter called Satyavati, and sage Rishika, who was a Brahmana, wanted to marry Satyavati. But this person, Gadhi, King Gadhi, considered that, let us give a very difficult condition of dowry for this Ruchika, so that he will not be able to fulfill that dowry, and then I can deny that I cannot give my daughter in marriage to you, because he was actually not interested to give his daughter Satyavati in marriage to sage Ruchika. So, what was the Vadhu Dakshina? What was the dowry that this particular sage Ruchika asked? Right? Sorry, King Gadhi asked. He said, "You should give me 1,000 horses, and their whole body should be whitish, full white, like moonshine. They should have, uh, each one of them should have one black ear, either right or left. This is the condition. If you can give me such 1,000 horses, then I'll happily hand over my daughter in marriage to you." So let's see what happened after that. When King Gadhi made this demand, the great sage Ruchika could understand the king's mind. Therefore, he went to the demigod Varuna and brought from him the 1,000 horses that Gadhi had demanded. After delivering these horses, the sage married the king's beautiful daughter. Actually, in other Puranas, it is described more elaborately that this sage Ruchika went everywhere in search of such kind of special horses. Nowhere he could find. And finally, he got to know that such horses are there with the Devata called Varuna. The Varuna Devata is the predominating deity of all the water bodies, the oceans. So, this sage Ruchika, he went and he actually pleased Varuna and requested him to give those horses. So he got those 1,000 horses and he handed over it to King Gadhi and then married his daughter Satyavati. Thereafter, Ruchika Muni's wife and mother-in-law, this is a very interesting twist. Thereafter, Ruchika Muni's wife and mother-in-law, each desiring a son, requested the Muni to prepare an oblation. Thus, Ruchika Muni prepared one oblation for his wife and a brahmana with a brahmana mantra, and another for his mother-in-law with a kshatriya mantra. Then he went out to bathe. So, this is very interesting. So, sage Ruchika has now married Satyavati, the daughter of Gadhi. Now, the wife of King Gadhi, both the wife of King Gadhi and Satyavati, her daughter, both wanted a son, right? So they approached sage Ruchika and they said, "You please do a yajna, and by the yajna phala, we should get our desired sons." So sage Ruchika prepares, he does the yajna and he gets the yajna phala. He chanted the kshatriya mantra and got one phala, and he chanted the brahmana mantra and got another phala. So he had kept both the phalas there, and he instructed his wife that you both can have this. He told his wife to take the phala which would bear a brahmana son, because he was a brahmana, sage Ruchika, and he told his mother-in-law to take the fruit which would bear her a kshatriya son, because King Gadhi's wife, King Gadhi was a kshatriya. So saying this, sage Ruchika went to the river to take a bath. Now, meanwhile, what happened? A very interesting thing. Meanwhile, because Satyavati's mother thought that the oblation prepared for her daughter, Ruchika's wife, must be better, she asked her daughter for that oblation. Satyavati therefore gave her own oblation to her mother and ate her mother's oblation herself. So they exchanged actually. So Satyavati's mother said, "See, your husband must have prepared some very special fruit for yourself. Can you please give me that? And instead, you take my fruit. Let us exchange." So, exchange offers are not always very desirable, actually. So, anyway, they exchanged the fruits and they ate those fruits. Right now, the sage came back. When the great sage Ruchika returned home after bathing and understood what had happened in his absence, he said to his wife Satyavati, "You have done a great wrong. Your son will be a fierce Kshatriya, able to punish everyone, and your brother will be a learned scholar in spiritual science." So the point is, sage Ruchika wanted a son who would be a great Vedic scholar, a brahmana. So that's why he had chanted Brahmana mantra. Now that was eaten by King Gadhi's wife. So therefore he said, "This is not at all good what you have done, mother and daughter. You have exchanged without consulting with me. So what will happen is your mother, who is a Kshatriya, will bear a Brahmana son, and you, who are a Brahmana, will give birth to a Kshatriya son. So it will become, exchange. The children will become exchanged." Now Satyavati, however, pacified Ruchika Muni with peaceful words and requested that her son not be like a fierce Kshatriya. Ruchika Muni replied, "Then your grandson will be of a Kshatriya spirit." Thus Jamadagni was born as the son of Satyavati. So when Satyavati pleaded her husband, "Oh, I don't want a fierce Kshatriya to be my son. Please do something." Then, using his Brahmanical powers, he said, "I cannot altogether avoid the result of this Yajna Phala. This will definitely give birth to a Kshatriya son, but let me delay it by one generation. Your son will be a Brahmana, but his son, that is your grandson, will become a great mighty Kshatriya, even though he is born in a Brahmana family." Right? So let us see what happened. So Jamadagni was born as the son of sage Ruchika and Satyavati. Satyavati later became the sacred river Kaushiki to purify the entire world, and her son Jamadagni married Renuka, the daughter of Renu. By the semen of Jamadagni, many sons headed by Vasuman were born from the womb of Renuka. The youngest of them was named Rama or Parashurama. So Satyavati, in order to repent for her mistake, she thought, "I have done a grievous sin by disobeying or by spoiling the plan of my husband." Therefore, in order to repent for her activities, she converted herself into a river. So that river was called Kaushiki. In the modern day, it is called Kosi River, which is called the sorrow of Bihar. It flows in the Bihar state and it floods and creates a lot of disturbance. Kosi River. We have studied about this in geography lessons, isn't it? So Satyavati became the sacred river Kaushiki or Kosi, and then her son Jamadagni married the daughter of King Renu, called as Renuka. Now this is also very interesting. This King Renu, he wanted to give his daughter in marriage to a suitable Kshatriya, because that is a desire of every Kshatriya king, that his daughter should be given in marriage to a suitable Kshatriya prince. But somehow his daughter Renuka, became interested to marry a Brahmana sage called as Jamadagni. She was actually attracted to the Brahmanical power of this particular sage called Jamadagni. So therefore, when she was so much insistent, the king Renu allowed his daughter Renuka, to marry Jamadagni. So Renuka gave birth to 4 sons. The eldest one was called Vasuman, and the youngest one was called as Rama. And since he later accepted Parashu or axe for his weapon, he came to be famously known as Parashurama. Now here it is said, text 14, Yamahurvasudevamsham Haihayanam Kulantakam Trisaptakruto Ya Imam Chakre Nikshatriya Mahi. A very similar thing is mentioned in the verse that we read today, the third chapter of the first canto. Here it is said, Yam Ahuhu Vasudeva Amsham. This Parashurama, who was born as the son of Renuka and Jamadagni Rishi, he is directly Vasudeva Amsham, He was actually the incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he was the Kulantakam, the annihilator of the dynasty of Haihaya dynasty. So actually, in this Haihaya dynasty, there was a great king called as Kartaviryarjuna who was born. This Kartaviryarjuna was very, very powerful because he was a devotee of one of the incarnations of the Supreme Lord called as Dattatreya. And by the blessings of Lord Dattatreya, this Kartaviryarjuna had 1,000 mighty arms. He was so powerful. And he also had 10,000 sons. So he was, now when we hear such kind of an information, how can somebody have 10,000 sons? It is a little difficult for us to assimilate because in Kali Yuga we always see, nowadays the number of children per family have reduced. It has come to one, isn't it? But some decades ago, we had families where 10 sons, 10 children, 20 children were there. So this is in the Treta Yuga. So in the Treta Yuga, definitely the such people who are capable of producing such number of children, not only producing, not only giving birth, but they were capable of taking care of such number of children also. So it is quite possible. But today in Kali Yuga, it is really inconceivable, isn't it? So this Kartaviryarjuna was actually a king of the Haihaya dynasty, and when he actually killed Jamadagni Rishi, the father of Parashurama, so Parashurama himself killed Kartaviryarjuna, and before that he also killed his sons. After that he killed his sons, 10,000 sons also. Therefore it is called here, it is said here, Haihayanam Kulantakam. So Parashurama destroyed the entire Kula of Haihayas, right? That is Kartaviryarjuna and his 10,000 sons. And he also went 21 times around the world and he destroyed the unscrupulous Kshatriyas during that time, right? Let us see next about Lord Parashurama. When the royal dynasty, being excessively proud because of the material modes of passion and ignorance, became irreligious and ceased to care for the laws enacted by the brahmanas, Parashurama killed them. Although their offense was not very severe, he killed them to lessen the burden of the world. So here, Parashurama killed all these different so-called Kshatriyas. They were dressed like Kshatriyas, they were born in the royal order, but they were not actually Kshatriyas in spirit. So once this Kartaviryarjuna, he came to the ashrama of sage Jamadagni and Renuka. And he came with his entire family, 10,000 sons and a big number of soldiers. And within no time, Jamadagni Rishi was able to arrange for a very good lunch for everybody. And later he got to know that Jamadagni Rishi, he was able to arrange this because he had a Kamadhenu cow, a celestial cow, which could produce whatever one desired. So this Kartaviryarjuna, out of his Kshatriya's pride, he wanted to snatch away the Kamadhenu forcefully from Jamadagni. And when Jamadagni resisted, forcefully he took away the cow and went away, this Kartaviryarjuna. And then Parashurama came. He was not there at that time in the ashrama. When Parashurama got to know that this Kamadhenu has been forcibly snatched away by this Kartaviryarjuna, he went, and at that time he was challenged by his 10,000 sons, 10,000 sons of Kartaviryarjuna, whom he killed within a few seconds. All right, the Lord displayed his unlimited power. Within a few seconds, he destroyed 10,000 sons. And finally, he killed Kartaviryarjuna himself. It is also said in other Puranas, this Kartaviryarjuna, because he was a devotee of the Supreme Lord in his incarnation as Dattatreya, he had a request to Lord Dattatreya that in case if I perform a heinous act and I will have to be punished for that, I request that I should not be punished by anyone else, but by yourself. Only the Supreme Lord should punish me. This was the benediction asked by Kartavirya Arjuna, and Dattatreya had sanctioned it. And therefore, one of the expansions of the Supreme Lord, Parashurama himself, killed this Kartavirya Arjuna. So, uh, here it is mentioned that this Kartavirya Arjuna and other Kshatriya kings were overpowered by Rajas and Tamas, the mode of passion and mode of ignorance, because of which they were not caring for the words of the Sattvic Brahmanas. When there is an increase in Rajas and Tamas in the material world, it only leads to destruction, it leads to pride, it leads to unnecessary torturing of good people. Therefore, the Sattvic Brahmanas are meant to give instruction to the Rajasic kings so that the Rajoguna does not overtake them. That is the idea. But then, when they did not listen to the Brahmanas, Parashurama had to come and he had to kill all these unscrupulous Kshatriyas. And it is said that in the Kurukshetra, where exactly the battlefield of Kurukshetra happened, Kurukshetra battle, it was also called as a Dharma Kshetra, as we know from the first verse of the Bhagavad Gita. It is a holy place of pilgrimage because Parashurama had personally created 5 ponds of blood after killing all these unscrupulous Kshatriyas all over the world. And in fact, when we study the world history, we see that because of the terror created by Parashurama, so many Kshatriya kings flee from India and they went to other places like Egypt, Mesopotamia. They went to Americas. That is where we see the Egyptian civilization, Mesopotamian civilization, the Inca and Mayan civilization. All of these, they were created by the people, the kings who actually flew from the Indian subcontinent out of fear of Parashurama, and there they started their own kingdoms or civilizations. So, yeah. So let's continue. Text 16. King Parikshit inquired from Shukadev Goswami, what was the offense that Kshatriyas who could not control their senses committed before Lord Parashurama, the incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for which the Lord annihilated the Kshatriya dynasty again and again? It's a very interesting question. What was the offense committed by these Kshatriyas which enraged Parashurama, which made him kill them 21 times? Let us see. Shukadev Goswami replied, the best of the Kshatriyas, Kartavirya Arjuna, the king of the Haihayas, received 1,000 alms by worshipping Dattatreya, the plenary expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana. He also became undefeatable by enemies and received unobstructed sensory power, beauty, influence, strength, fame, and the mystic power by which to achieve all the perfections of yoga, such as anima and laghima. Thus, having become fully opulent, he roamed all over the universe without opposition, just like the wind. So now Shukadev Goswami is talking about this particular king, Kartavirya Arjuna, about whom I had told before. Once, while enjoying in the water of the river Narmada, the puffed up Kartavirya Arjuna, surrounded by beautiful women and garlanded with a garland of victory, stopped the flow of the water with his arms. So with his 1,000 arms, this Kartavirya Arjuna, he was actually enjoying water sports with women in the Narmada river, right? So with his 1,000 arms, he actually was able to stop the flow of the river like a dam. Now, this actually disturbed someone else who was also there in that river at that time. Let us see what happened. Because Kartavirya Arjuna made the water flow in the opposite direction, The camp of Ravana, which was set up on the bank of the Narmada river near the city of Mahishmati, was inundated. This was unbearable to the 10-headed Ravana, who considered himself a great hero and could not tolerate Kartaviryaarjuna's power. So Ravana was also a Vishwa Vijeta. He had also conquered so many planetary systems and the predominating personalities over those planets. Kartaviryaarjuna, by the blessings of Lord Dattatreya, he had also conquered so many kingdoms. So both had become puffed up, isn't it? So when Ravana's camp, which was set up on the Narmada river bank, was flooded by the flow of water in the opposite direction created by Kartavirya Arjuna, he became very disturbed and he could not tolerate. So immediately there was a fight between the two. When Ravana attempted to insult Kartaviryarjuna in the presence of the women and thus offended him, Kartaviryarjuna easily arrested Ravana and put him in custody in the city of Mahishmati, just as one captures a monkey and then released him neglectfully. So Ravana, he may be very puffed up that he is very powerful, but in front of Kartaviryarjuna's power, he was nothing. Here it is said, just like a person captures a kapi, a monkey, like that, this Ravana was captured by Kartaviryarjuna and then he was also released. Now, previous to this, Ravana was also captured by Vali. Vali, who was also the king of Kishkinda. He was also very powerful. So Ravana's power was no match in front of Vali's power also. Right. So again and again, Ravana was being taught that he is not the absolute powerful personality, but still he dared to challenge the supreme personality of Godhead, Ramachandra. So a person who does not learn lessons from his life's incidents, he is the most foolish person. He is the Murkha Shikamani, the best of the foolish. So Ravana was like that. He was defeated by Vali, he was defeated by Kartavirya Arjuna, and then he was humbled by Lord Shiva himself when Ravana tried to lift the Kailasa mountain, displaying his pride. That time, Lord Shiva pushed the Kailasa hill with his toenail, with his toe, and his hand got stuck. Ravana's hand got stuck. So all these life incidents which he experienced could not humble Ravana. Why? Because essentially, when one does not accept the supreme personality of Godhead, when one does not accept that the Supreme Lord is the supreme powerful person, when one does not become a devotee of the Supreme Lord, one will not be sane. One will not be in a position to learn lessons from his own life incidents. So that is what. So Kartavirya Arjuna captured Ravana like a monkey and released him neglectfully. Right. Once, while Kartavirya Arjuna was wandering unengaged in a solitary forest and hunting, he approached the residence of Jamadagni. The sage Jamadagni, who was engaged in great austerities in the forest, received the king very well, along with the king's soldiers, ministers, and carriers. He supplied all the necessities to worship these guests, for he possessed a Kamadhenu cow that was able to supply everything. Kartaviryarjuna thought that Jamadagni was more powerful and wealthy than himself because of possessing a jewel in the form of Kamadhenu. Therefore, he and his own men, the Haihayas, were not very much appreciative of Jamadagni's reception. On the contrary, they wanted to possess that Kamadhenu, which was useful for the execution of the Agnihotra sacrifice. Actually, Jamadagni Rishi had got that Kamadhenu from the Devatas for the sake of performing Agnihotra sacrifices. Now, Kartavirya Arjuna, he saw this, oh, such a great opulent thing. Why should a brahmana have this? I should have. So, a very similar incident happened in the life of sage Vishwamitra. In the Purvashrama, before he became sage Vishwamitra, he was actually King Kaushika. He visited the hermitage of sage Vasishtha, and there he saw a cow, a Kamadhenu cow. A similar thing happened. There also he wanted that cow, but then there he was, Vasishtha Muni was able to overpower this Kaushika Rishi by his Brahmadanda, by the power of his Brahminical strength. He was able to overpower the military strength of Kaushika. That is when there was a turning point in his life where Kaushika decides that what is the use of being a Kshatriya? Let me become a Brahmana. Therefore, he goes to the forest and does tapasya. So that ended in a sattvic way. But here, this ended in a tragic way. Because this person, Kartavirya Arjuna, was very puffed up. So he wanted, by power, he wanted to snatch away the Kamadhenu from Jamadagni Rishi. One important lesson we should learn here, the Ishopanishad verse 1 makes it very clear. Ishavasyam idam sarvam yad kinchit jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bhunjita maagrita kasyasvit dhanam. The meaning of this is, everything animate and inanimate within this material world is owned and controlled by the Supreme Lord. One should only accept as much as the Lord has set aside as his quota. One should not encroach upon others' property. This is a very, very important principle. One should never think of usurping others' property, especially a Brahmana's or a devotee's property. One should never meddle with. Right? So, this Kartavirya Arjuna, being puffed up by his material power, he encouraged his men to steal this Jamadagni's Kamadhenu. Thus, the men forcibly took away the crying Kamadhenu along with her calf to Mahishmati. Mahishmati was the capital city of this Kartavirya, the Haihaya dynasty. Kartavirya's capital, okay. So, thereafter, Kartavirya, having left with the Kamadhenu, Parashurama returned to the ashrama. When Parashurama, the youngest son of Jamadagni, heard about Kartavirya's nefarious deed, he became as angry as a trampled snake. So what did he say? So he said, what was the reaction? How was he? His anger of Parashurama is described here. It is said, Ghoram adaya parusham satunam varma karmakum anvadhata dhurmarsho mrugendra iva yuthapam. Yuthapa means elephant. Mrugendra means a lion. Just like a lion becomes extremely angry at an elephant and goes to attack it, in that way Parashurama became enraged. Taking up his fierce chopper, his shield, his bow, and a quiver of arrows, Lord Parashurama, exceedingly angry, chased Kartavirya just as a lion chases an elephant. As King Kartavirya entered his capital Mahishmati Puri, he saw Lord Parashurama, the best of the Bhrigu dynasty, coming after him, holding a chopper, shield, bow, and arrows. Lord Parashurama was covered with a black deer skin, and his matted locks of hair appeared like the sunshine. So here we see the description of the form of Parashurama. So he was dressed in a black deer skin, and he had matted hairs of a sage, which appeared like a sunshine, and he was also holding his chopper, the axe, Parushu, and a shield. He was also wearing a shield like a Kshatriya, and he was having bow and arrows. This is the description of Parashurama's bodily features. Upon seeing Parashurama, Kartavirya immediately feared him and sent many elephants, chariots, horses, and infantry soldiers equipped with clubs, swords, arrows, rishtis, shatagnis, shaktis, and many similar weapons to to fight against him. Kartavirya sent 17 full Akshauhinis of soldiers to check Parashurama. But Parashurama alone killed all of them. So here we see the Lord's unlimited power being displayed. Even though Lord Parashurama is actually a Shaktiya Vesha avatar, he is a living entity who is empowered by the Supreme Lord's power. He is an empowered incarnation. But still, you can just imagine 17 Akshauhini divisions. In the entire battlefield of Kurukshetra, there were only 18 Akshauhini divisions, 11 on the Kaurava side, 7 on the Pandava side. And they fought against each other. But here, the entire 17 Akshauhini divisions of soldiers were sent by Kartavirya to fight against Parashurama, and Parashurama single-handedly killed all of them. Prabhupada explains in the purport about Akshauhini. The word Akshauhini refers to a military phalanx consisting of 21,870 chariots and elephants, 1,09,350 infantry soldiers, and 65,610 horses. This is one Akshauhini. Total all this multiplied by 17. That was the number of soldiers of various types. Infantry means foot soldiers. Cavalry, artillery, that means soldiers on horseback, soldiers on elephants. So these were all the different soldiers, and also soldiers on chariots, rathis. Together, all of them, 17 such Akshauhini divisions were killed by Lord Parashurama. So this shows Lord Parashurama's unlimited strength. Lord Parashurama, being expert in killing the military strength of the enemy, worked with the speed of the mind and the wind, slicing his enemies with his chopper, parachute. Wherever he went, the enemies fell, their legs, arms, and shoulders being severed, their chariot drivers killed, and their carriers, the elephants and horses, all annihilated. So here it is said, Parashurama fought with Manovega. He fought with the speed of the mind, and Vayuvega, Anilavega, the speed of the wind. So he was very dexterous on the battlefield. By manipulating his axe and arrows, Lord Parashurama cut to pieces the shields, flags, bows, and bodies of Kartavirya soldiers who fell on the battlefield, muddying the ground with their blood. Seeing these reverses, Kartavirya, infuriated, rushed to the battlefield. So finally, the king himself had to come face Parashurama. Then Kartavirya, with his 1,000 arms, simultaneously fixed arrows on 500 bows to kill Lord Parashurama. You can just imagine that Kartavirya, who had conquered Ravana, now he had to use all his 1,000 arms, and in each arm he was holding a bow, and in the corresponding other arm an arrow. That means 500 arrows he released simultaneously from 500 bows to kill Parashurama. Just imagine how fierce this war would have been, right, to see. But Lord Parashurama, the best of fighters, released enough arrows with only one bow to cut to pieces immediately the bows and arrows in the hands of Kartavirya. So before Kartavirya could release his 500 arrows, Lord Parashurama cut off the bows and arrows in the hands of Kartavirya. So, an incarnation of the Lord must be identified by two important symptoms, Srila Prabhupada explains. First of all, the incarnation must be mentioned in the scriptures. Secondly, the incarnation of the Lord performs wonderful activities which are unimaginable for ordinary people to even think of performing. So that we see here in Parashurama. So Parashurama, before even Kartavirya could release the arrows, Parashurama At the speed of mind, he released his thousands of arrows with single bow, and he cut all the arrows and bows in the hands of Kartavirya. This is immediate. This is undoubtedly very wonderful. Harer Adbhuta Karmana. The Lord's activities are all Adbhuta. And we must actually hear such wonderful activities of the Supreme Lord and His incarnations repeatedly so that we become attached to the Lord. We are generally attached to our own abilities and talents, our own skills, our own strength. And this does not help us to surrender to the Lord. The purpose of hearing the activities of the various incarnations of the Lord is to develop some kind of a reverence, some kind of a surrender uh, unto the Lord. So we have to hear more and more how nicely Parashurama fought. No one could match his prowess. When his arrows were cut to pieces, Kartavirya uprooted many trees and hills with his own hands and again rushed strongly toward Lord Parashurama to kill him. But Parashurama then used his axe with great force to cut off Kartavirya's arms, just as one might lop off the hoods of a serpent. Thereafter, Parashurama cut off like a mountain peak the head of Kartavirya, who had already lost his arms. When Kartavirya's 10,000 sons saw their father killed, they all fled in fear. Then Parashurama, having killed the enemy, released the Kamadhenu, which had undergone great suffering, and brought it back with its calf to his residence, where he gave it to his father Jamadagni. So, after killing Kartavirya, Parashurama released the Kamadhenu cow. The cow had suffered a lot because it was forcibly taken by Kartavirya. Now the cow was brought back to Jamadagni ashrama. Parashurama described to his father and brothers his activities in killing Kartavirya. Upon hearing of these deeds, Jamadagni spoke to his son as follows. So Parashurama came and said like this, I have killed Kartavirya in the battle. Now Jamadagni was not in approval of this. Let us see what he says. Rama Rama Mahabaho Bhavan Papam Akarashit Avadhin Naradevam Yat Sarva Devamayam Vritha. Vritha means unnecessarily. Oh son, my son Parashurama, unnecessarily you have killed this king Kartavirya, and you should know king is Naradeva. He is the Devata among the humans. So you should not have killed him. So this is a sinful activity. Jamadagni Rishi said, O great hero, my dear son Parashurama, you have unnecessarily killed the king who is supposed to be the embodiment of all the demigods. Thus you have committed a sin. My dear son, we are all brahmanas and have become worshipable for the people in general because of our quality of forgiveness. It is because of this quality that Lord Brahma, the supreme spiritual master of this universe, has achieved this post. So, Kshama. So, Jamadagni Rishi says, for a Brahmana, the ornament is Kshama, not weapons. So, what you have done is not correct. Of course, the Supreme Lord came for a particular purpose and he achieved that purpose. But Jamadagni Rishi, being a Brahmana, he is telling his son, see what you have done is sinful activity. You should not have killed, you should have forgiven him. Now, that goes to say that how a Brahmana is so broad-minded. A Brahmana like Jamadagni, he can tolerate any kind of offenses against himself. That is the quality of a Brahmana, Kshama. The duty of a Brahmana is to culture the quality of forgiveness, which is illuminating like the sun. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, is pleased with those who are forgiving. So it is mentioned here that the Supreme Lord is very pleased when one forgives the offenses or troubles the others have given to him. Right? This is the instruction of Jamadagni to Lord Parashurama. My dear son, killing a king who is an emperor is more severely sinful than killing a Brahmana. But now, if you become Krishna conscious and worship the holy places, you can atone for this great sin. So he's saying the Lord, you become Krishna conscious. That means, actually, these are all lessons for us that in haste we should not go and do any activity by which later there will be a difficulty. See, when the king was, Parashurama no doubt killed so many Kshatriyas, but there was anarchy because of absence of kings. So there were no suitable kings ruling different parts of the world. So that is why Jamadagni Rishi is telling that actually killing a king is more abominable than killing a brahmana. Because if you kill a king, an entire kingdom will suffer because of lack of proper administration. And of course, that also shows how Jamadagni, being a brahmana, is ready to forgive all the offenses of Kartavirya Arjuna. But nevertheless, he is telling his son, please go to holy places and please do some atonement, do some activities to atone for your sins. So let us see what happened after that. Shukadeva Goswami said, my dear Maharaj Parikshit, when Lord Parashurama was given this order by his father, he immediately agreed, saying, let it be so. For one complete year, he traveled to holy places. Then he returned to his father's residence. So he agreed to the father's order. Just like Lord Ramachandra was Pitruvakya Paripalaka, this Rama, Parashurama, was also Pitruvakya Paripalaka. He listened to the instructions of his father, went to holy places, performed various activities of atonement and tapasya to counter the sin of killing a king and many kings. Once, when Renuka, the wife of Jamadagni, went to the bank of the Ganges to get water, she saw the king of the Gandharvas decorated with a garland of lotuses and sporting in the Ganges with celestial women or apsaras. She had gone to bring water from the Ganges, but when she saw Chitraratha, the king of the Gandharvas, sporting with the celestial girls, she was somewhat inclined toward him and failed to remember that the time for the fire sacrifice was passing. Later, understanding that the time for offering the sacrifice had passed, Renuka feared a curse from her husband. Therefore, when she returned, she simply put the water pot before him and stood there with folded hands. The great sage Jamadagni understood the adultery in the mind of his wife. Therefore, he was very angry and told his sons, my dear sons, kill this sinful woman. But the sons did not carry out his order. Jamadagni then ordered his youngest son Parashurama to kill his brothers who had disobeyed this order and his mother who had mentally committed adultery. Lord Parashurama, knowing the power of his father, who was practiced in meditation and austerity, killed his mother and brothers immediately. Jamadagni, the son of Satyavati, was very much pleased with Parashurama and asked him to take any benediction he liked. Lord Parashurama replied, let my mother and brothers live again and not remember having been killed by me. This is the benediction I ask. Thereafter, by the benediction of Jamadagni, Lord Parashurama's mother and brothers immediately came alive and were very happy as if awakened from sound sleep. Lord Parashurama had killed his relatives in accordance with his father's order because he was fully aware of his father's power, austerity, and learning. My dear King Parikshit, the sons, okay. Now you see, this incident, I will take another 15-20 minutes to complete this. Very interesting activities of Lord Parashurama we are getting to hear on his appearance day. We should not miss the chance. As I said, hearing about the activities of the Supreme Lord in his various incarnations is an opportunity for us to develop attachment to the Lord and to surrender to the Lord, to appreciate the greatness of the Lord in his various incarnations. So here, an incident is described which highlights how Lord Parashurama was so obedient to his father, Jamadagni. So once, there was a vrata, this mother Renuka. Renuka was the wife of Jamadagni Rishi, as we have discussed before. Every day she would go to the Ganga river, and before her husband started the yajna, she would bring, she would actually make freshly, she would make a pot out of sand, not clay. Clay, it is easy to make a pot, but she would make out of sand from the river bank. And by the power of her chastity, her pativratya, she was able to make a pot of sand, and she had used a snake as a support on her head to carry the pot on her head. Hmm? And then she would bring water from the Ganga every day. So every day she would freshly make the sand pot and carry water from the Ganga. So this was going on every day. But one day when she went to the Ganga river, this Renuka Devi, she saw in the Ganga river the king of the Gandharvas, Chitraratha, was actually having water sports with his consorts, with beautiful apsaras. And when she saw this, for a moment, she got attracted towards this beautiful Gandharva. So that means she there were lusty desires in her mind momentarily. Everybody has weakness of mind, isn't it? Unless we fix our mind completely on the Supreme Lord Krishna, it is not possible for us to give up this Hridaya Daurbalyam, as Krishna says in the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, weakness of the mind. Krishna forgives our weakness of mind. Accidental fall downs, Krishna always forgives. But if we intentionally indulge in sinful activity, then Krishna will not forgive. Then that will be detrimental for our spiritual progress. So here in this case, Renuka's fall down was accidental. It was not intentional. So for a few moments, she got agitated by lusty desires upon seeing Chitraratha Gandharva. So therefore, on that particular day, she tried so much to make that sand pot. She was not able to make because she had committed an offense. Her Pativratya Dharma was actually spoiled. So she was not able to make that pot. She was not able to fetch water. So fearing that her husband Jamadagni will become angry and curse her, so she went empty-handed that day back to the ashrama. And when Jamadagni saw that she has not brought water, and by his tapashakti, Jamadagni was able to know that she had developed lusty desires towards Chitraratha, immediately Jamadagni, in a fit of anger, he actually ordered his sons, the elder three sons, to kill their mother Renuka. Right? So when those three sons disobeyed, they said, "No, how can we kill mother? Matruhatya dosha is very, very grievous sin. We cannot kill." So Jamadagni became angry and he called for Parashurama. Parashurama at that time was elsewhere. So Jamadagni called for his son. Parashurama came and he ordered him, immediately kill your brothers and also your mother. Don't ask me what reason, you should kill. And Parashurama knew the tapashakti of Jamadagni. He wanted to, for time being, he wanted to pacify his father, and later, when he is pacified, he wanted to bring them back to life. So, using his Parashu, this Parashurama killed his own mother and his brothers. And when Jamadagni was pleased with this obedience of Parashurama, he said, "You please take whatever Varadana, whatever benediction you want, you can ask me, I'll give you." So immediately Parashurama asked, "Please bring back all these four people back to life, and also let them not remember this incident that I had killed them." So Jamadagni was very happy with this. He was pacified and he brought them back to life. So this Renuka Devi, she is worshipped in Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh, Telangana states as Yellamma. So Yellamma Devi. In every village, there will be a Yellamma temple. Yellamma is nothing but Renuka Devi, the mother of Lord Parashurama. So she is a glorious mother because she had the Supreme Lord as her son, and also she, she In fact, later on we will see how she inspired Parashurama to do his activities. Let us continue. Shukadeva Goswami continued, my dear King Parikshit, the sons of Kartaviryarjuna, who were defeated by the superior strength of Parashurama, never achieved happiness, for they always remembered the killing of their father. So Badle ki Aag was going on in the hearts of the sons of Kartaviryarjuna, 10,000 of them. Once, when Parashurama left the ashram for the forest with Vasuman and his other brothers, the sons of Kartaviryarjuna took the opportunity to approach Jamadagni's residence to seek vengeance for their grudge. The sons of Kartaviryarjuna were determined to commit sinful deeds. Therefore, when they saw Jamadagni sitting by the side of the fire to perform yajna and meditating upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is praised by the best of selected prayers, they took the opportunity to kill him. See, very important. It's a very heinous act that the sons of Kartaviryarjuna performed. Kartaviryarjuna was killed by Parashurama. So, the sons of Kartaviryarjuna, if at all they wanted to avenge the killing of their father, should have actually fought with Parashurama, isn't it? But knowing very well that Parashurama is not an ordinary person, he's very powerful and they could not defeat him. So, in a very, in a heinous way, they came to the ashram when Parashurama and his brothers were not there, and they saw Jamadagni Rishi was sitting in front of the Yajna Kunda, performing sacrifice and meditating upon the Supreme Lord. At that time, in a very abominable way, these sons of Kartaviryarjuna killed this Jamadagni Rishi. See, that Jamadagni who told about forgiveness to Parashurama, now he was killed by the sons of Kartaviryarjuna. Now, this is very abominable. This exactly was done. A similar thing was done by Ashwathama. We read in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. After the battle of Kurukshetra was over, and all the Pandavas were elsewhere busy celebrating their victory, Ashwathama, in the dead of night, stealthily he comes with his sword and mistaking the 5 people who are sleeping in the tent of the Pandavas to be Pandavas, he kills those 5 sons of Pandavas, Upa Pandavas, right? So he performed a very heinous act for which he was personally cursed and punished by Lord Krishna. So such activities are not at all befitting. In fact, a Kshatriya is supposed to face fight against the enemy on the battlefield. So what he did was greatly condemnable, right? What this sons of Kartaviryarjuna did. That's why they are addressed as Kshatriyas Bandhu. Kshatriyas Bandhu means they are born in the family of Kshatriyas, but they don't have the real qualities of a Kshatriya. They are called Kshatriyas Bandhu. So let's see what happened after this. With pitiable prayers, Renuka, the mother of Parashurama and wife of Jamadagni, begged for the life of her husband. But the sons of Kartaviryarjuna, being devoid of the qualities of Kshatriyas, were so cruel that despite her prayers, they forcibly cut off his head and took it away. Lamenting, Renuka dukkha shokarta nigadnati atmanam atmana Rama rameti tateti vichukrosachaikai sati. So, lamenting in grief for the death of her husband, the most chaste Renuka struck her own body with her hands and cried very loudly, O Rama, my dear son Rama. Right? Ha Rama, like this, O Rama. Although the sons of Jamadagni, including Lord Parashurama, were a long distance from home, as soon as they heard Renuka loudly calling, O Rama, O my son, they hastily returned to the ashram where they saw their father already killed. Virtually bewildered by grief, anger, indignation, affliction, and lamentation, the sons of Jamadagni cried, O father, most religious, saintly person, You have left us and gone to the heavenly planets. Thus lamenting, Lord Parashurama entrusted his father's dead body to his brothers and personally took up his axe, having decided to put an end to all the Kshatriyas on the surface of the world. In some of the scriptures, it is said that the sons of Kartavirya they pierced the body of Jamadagni 21 times. And that is why Parashurama traveled all over the world 21 times to rid the whole world of Kshatriyas. Hmm? O king, Lord Parashurama then went to Mahishmati, which was already doomed by the sinful killing of a brahmana. In the midst of that city, he made a mountain of heads severed from the bodies of the sons of Kartavirya. With the blood of the bodies of these sons, Lord Parashurama created a ghastly river which brought great fear to the kings who had no respect for Brahmanical culture. Because the Kshatriyas, the men of power in government, were performing sinful activities, Lord Parashurama, on the plea of retaliating for the murder of his father, rid all the Kshatriyas from the face of the earth 21 times. Indeed, in the place known as Samanta Panchaka, he created 9 lakes filled with their blood. So the Samanta Panchaka is in Kurukshetra, as I said. 9 lakes he created out of the blood of all these Kshatriyas. Thereafter, Parashurama joined his father's head to the dead body and placed the whole body and head upon kusha grass. By offering sacrifices, he began to worship Lord Vasudeva, who is the all-pervading super soul of all the demigods and of every living entity. After completing the sacrifice, Lord Parashurama gave the eastern direction to the Hota as a gift, the south to the Brahma, the west to the Advaryu, the north to the Udgata, and the 4 corners, northeast, southeast, northwest, and southwest to the other priests. He gave the middle to Kashyapa and the place known as Aryavarta to the Upadrashta. Whatever remained, he distributed among the Sadasyas, the associate priests. Thereafter, having completed the ritualistic sacrificial ceremonies, Lord Parashurama took the bath known as the Avabhrita Snana. Standing on the bank of the great river Saraswati, cleared of all sins, Lord Parashurama appeared like the sun in a clear, cloudless sky. Thus, Jamadagni, being worshipped by Lord Parashurama, was brought back to life with full remembrance, and he became one of the 7 sages in the group of 7 stars, Saptarushi Mandala. My dear King Parikshit, Shukadeva Goswami is saying, in the next Manvantara, the lotus-eyed personality of Godhead, Lord Parashurama, the son of Jamadagni, will be a great propounder of Vedic knowledge. In other words, he will be one of the 7 sages. So, Lord Parashurama performed a yajna to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and by the power of that yajna, he brought his father Jamadagni back to life, and Jamadagni became one of the Saptarishis. And here it is said that this Parashurama will be in the next Manvantara, he will be one of the Saptarishis, and he will be a great propounder of Vedic knowledge, and he is also one of the Chiranjeevis. So it is said even today, it is said here, Lord Parashurama still lives as an intelligent Brahmana in the mountainous country known as Mahendra. Completely satisfied, having given up all the weapons of a Kshatriya, he is always worshipped, adored, and offered prayers for his exalted character and activities by such celestial beings as the Siddhas, Charanas, and Gandharvas. In this way, the Supreme Soul, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Lord and the Supreme Controller, descended as an incarnation in the Bhrigu dynasty and released the universe from the burden of undesirable kings by killing them many times. So this is the katha of Parashurama's incarnation. So Lord Parashurama still lives in the Mahendra Parvata, which is actually worshipped by great personalities, and we see Parashurama's important role even in Ramayana and Mahabharata. So Ramayana We know in the Sita Swayamvara incident, Parashurama comes when Lord Rama, along with Dashratha and his brothers, were returning back to Ayodhya. On the way, after the marriage, after the Swayamvara ceremony, on the way, Parashurama comes and he wants to test who is this person. So when he gets to know that Rama is the supreme personality of Godhead himself, he offers obeisances and he goes away. So one of the names of Lord Ramachandra is Om Jamadagnya Mahadarpa Dalanaya Namaha. In the Rama Ashtottara Shatanamavali, 108 names of Lord Rama, we chant this name. That is obeisances to Lord Rama, who destroyed the great pride of the son of Jamadagni, Parashurama. So Parashurama then retired to the Mahendra Parvata. Ever since then, he was actually performing. He is currently also performing tapasya. In the Mahabharata, we see that Parashurama also played a great role. He became the military teacher for Bhishma Deva, for Dronacharya, and for Karna. All these three personalities were personally taught the military science by Parashurama himself. But after Lord Ramachandra appeared, when Parashurama was assured that now the Supreme Lord himself has appeared as a Kshatriya, so there will be good administration. So Lord Parashurama gave up all his weapons, he stopped his warfare, and he is currently doing tapasya. And it is said in the next Manvantara, he will become one of the great sages and he will be one of the Sapta Rishis. So this is about the Lord Parashurama. So today is Akshaya Tritiya. Many interesting things happened today. The beginning of Treta Yuga, on this day it happened. Kubera got the position of the treasurer of the Devatas on this day. Lord Vedavyasa with the help of Vyasadeva, with the help of Lord Ganesha, began writing the great Mahabharata on today, on this day of Akshaya Tritiya. And we all know the famous pastime of Lord Krishna reciprocating with his dearmost friend and devotee, Sudama, in Dwaraka, accepting a palmful of chipped rice and blessing Sudama with boundless opulence and fortune. That pastime also happened today. River Ganga descended on the earth today. So, like this, there are many. And the Akshaya Patra incident, we all know. Pandavas received the Akshaya Patra from the sun god on this particular day. So, it is also the appearance of Lord Parashurama. So, let us utilize this particular day in remembering Lord Parashurama and the various incidents connected with Akshaya Tritiya. And it is told in the scriptures that any spiritual activity or charity that is done on this particular day will have Akshaya Phala. It will have unlimited results. So therefore, from morning, devotees have been chanting more and more. And also we have heard about the Lord Parashurama's activities. So with this, we come to the end of today's session. Happy Akshaya Tritiya to all of you. May the Supreme Lord Krishna bless us with unlimited opportunities to do devotional service under the guidance of devotees by the blessings of our spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Akshaya Tritiya Mahotsav ki jai, Shri Parashurama Dev ki jai, Jagat Guru Vishwa Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.